Welcome to Animals Everywhere. I'm Elaine, your host. What animal knows what the top of an elephant's head looks like? That would be the giraffe, because they're the tallest mammal on Earth. As a matter of fact, the males can get up to 18 feet in height. And today we're going to learn all about them. These giraffes are found in Africa, which is our destination. After touching down Johannesburg, South Africa, we met up with our good friend and favorite tour guide, Myron, who's going to help us find these really large yet graceful animals. Myron took us around Kruger National Park because they have around 10,000 giraffes in the park. I think we have a good chance of finding one or two. Kruger National Park is bigger than Israel. It actually takes 3 days to cross by car. Before we started around the park, Myron explained what we should do if we run into danger. Of course, I gave him my thoughts on what I would do if I sensed danger. If I was to see a lion, I would push you towards it, grab the gun and run. Now that we got the safety tips out of the way, it was time for us to travel around the park with Myron. We saw a variety of animals. There was hippos, zebras, elephants, leopards, warthogs, baboons, mini baboons, also known as baby baboons. My favorite are the baby hyenas. They're the cutest. Although it was a good thing the mom was hunting because we wouldn't have been able to get this close to them. I really wanted to take one home with me, but as one of my crew members explained, it might not be such a good idea. I couldn't believe my eyes when we ran into our animal of choice, a herd of giraffes. They were amazing and a lot bigger than I expected in real life. Although I think they were just as curious of us as we were of them. The one thing I noticed first was the little white birds all over them. There's a reason for this, and it's not just for the birds to get a free ride. It's for grooming. The little white birds eat the ticks off the giraffe, which feed them. And of course, the giraffes don't mind because it leaves them tick-free. You can tell the difference between males and females by looking at the horns on the top of their head. Although Myron has another idea of how to tell them apart.
With sex, you can basically look at the horns or at the crown jewels.
The male giraffes use their horns to challenge other males. And because the male giraffes are constantly banging their heads and horns together, the top of their horns are bald.
Where your females, they have very nice ponytails, lots of hair on top of the horns. That's the easiest way to tell from a distance like this. Just look at the horns. Some people believe if you look at the animal, you will find that the darker the animal is, that it's a sign of male or female, sign of sex. But you'll find that they tend to become a little bit darker with age. But also you'll find your giraffes are like humans. You'll find blondes or dark-heads or redheads or brunettes or whatever.
The males don't just use their horns to challenge each other.
And what males do, they get lots of calcium deposits up on their head, so they look kind of bumpy.
Yeah.
It just makes their head even stronger.
Oh, you're kidding.
So when they're battling for dominance.
Oh, imagine a headbutt with that thing. The patterns on the giraffe are a lot like our fingerprints. No two are the same.
I can identify them by shoulder patterns, just like with zebra with their stripes. If you look at a zebra, their stripes on their shoulder are always unique to that individual, just like a fingerprint.
Dr. Reeves, also known as Doc, has been working with the giraffes for a long time, and he explains their patterns are not the only unique thing about them. Their tongues are unbelievably long. They can get up to 18 inches, but it actually helps them get the leaves off the thorny trees. Now that is a tongue. They could be great stamp lickers, get the extra peanut butter at the bottom of the jar, but instead the giraffes use their prehensile tongue to get leaves. And they also use it to pick their nose, but it's only because they don't have fingers. As we watch them eat, you can see how they wrap their tongue around the branch and pull all the leaves off. Now they don't have upper teeth, they only have little lower teeth and molars, and that's where their tongue comes in handy. After they pull the leaves off, they use their really long tongue to push the leaves to the back of their mouth so they can chew their vegetation with their back molars. Now their tongues are really long, but not long enough to scratch an itch. Have you ever had an itch that you just couldn't reach? Well, this next giraffe found a very creative way to scratch her itch. This girl tried using her tongue at first, but it didn't seem to be working. After the tongue idea didn't work, she started rubbing against the tree, which amused us completely. Oh, come on, you would laugh too. This went on for about 15 minutes, and then she finally started standing on the tree to scratch the underneath of her belly. Now that's got to be the most creative giraffe in all of Africa.
They are browsers as opposed to grazers, which grazers, they graze on the ground. Browsers, they're up higher and they eat trees like that she just took right from me.
As we were still driving around Africa with Myron, we ran into a giraffe crossing the road. So why did the giraffe cross the road? Well, to get to the herd on the other side that was stopping for another snack break. Giraffes are non-territorial and they're very social creatures. They travel in loose, open herds.
They don't just stay in one area. They move from area to area.
The female giraffes are more social than the males. Now there's a shocker.
Males kind of just interlope in between. Females will have, sometimes you'll see groups of 15 to 20.
As long as they have enough vegetation, they can go without water for 2 to 3 days.
They actually have to lower their head. They spread their legs out and drop.
I would go to a high pond if it was me.
This is also the way they pick things up, as you can see the way T-Rex is picking up that branch. Because it takes them so long to get up, you don't often see them laying down. While they're drinking, they're always on their guard since they're very vulnerable in that position. You can tell this guy got our scent when he was drinking because he took off pretty fast. Giraffes are very compassionate, docile creatures. That would probably explain why their heart is 24 pounds.
They actually have valves in their veins. Normally it's just in arteries, so they can help regulate the blood flow either going to the head or back from the head, so they don't get this tremendous rush of blood when they drop their head down, or when they lift it up, it's not like all the blood drains out of their brain and all of a sudden they get lightheaded and then boom, fall down.
Besides people, the adult giraffe doesn't truly have any predators, but the young baby giraffes do.
The young, definitely, you're looking at lions, hyenas, Cape hunting dogs, things like that.
Oh, okay, like wow.
That will take the young animals.
Giraffes give birth standing up. Now that's okay for the mother, but what about the baby that has to fall 7 to 8 feet to the ground? Maybe that's why they stay in the womb for 14 months.
Giraffe calf for 30 minutes should stand up and be ready to try and suckle. They should suckle within 2 hours.
Okay.
And if they
run around, play soccer within.
Well, they're still like they're still trying to get used to. I mean, you figure they have all these long legs and this tall neck and everything's brand new, and they just fell.
Their main defense is using their front legs to kick with.
They can kill a predator, right, with their kick.
Oh yeah, and you figure on that leg how strong it is when they kick back. Yeah, it'll fracture a skull easily.
Their vocal communication is important for their safety. It's amazing because they have an infrastructure that's too low for humans to hear. But they do, however, grunt and bellow when they're stressed. And they also make a huffing sound as an alarm. Their height and excellent eyesight helps them maintain visual contact at long distances.
One of the few animals with a very good eyesight. They have very good color, very good range of colors that they do see.
Giraffes actually walk a lot different than most animals. When they walk so they can support that massive body, they shift their weight from right to left. So both their right legs move forward together, then both their left legs move forward together, like a horse or a cat. When they run, both their forelegs and hind legs work in pairs, like a running rabbit. Just before our trip around Kruger was done with Myron, he asked me if I had any other questions.
Yeah, are we allowed to feed the lions?
Only if it's human bait.
Well, that's okay, because I can actually drive this vehicle back.
You can drive it back. Good. But they love cameramen.
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
Yes,
do.
we can feed them cameraman Ed. Yes.